In 2010, Republican Governor Sam Brownback was elected in Kansas. He got to work right away passing big tax cuts. One thing that happens when you cut taxes is that taxes get cut. Taxes are the government's income, and with a radical drop in the government's income, turns out kablooey to the budget. Getting rid of all the revenue in Kansas blew up that state's budget, left them with huge deficits, and that not-so-magic process in Kansas got Kansas's bond rating lowered earlier this month. In 2010, a Republican governor took over in the state of New Jersey. Also kiboshed taxes, was later shocked to find that getting rid of taxes produced a reduction in tax revenue. Revenue went down for the state. Nobody warned us that would happen. And that shocking reduction in revenue now means that New Jersey's budget has blown up as well. Huge deficits in New Jersey. New Jersey just had its bond ratings lowered for the 5th time since Governor Chris Christie became Governor Chris Christie. And it turns out it's a trend, because here's the third. In 2012, a Republican governor was elected in North Carolina, pushing through really big tax cuts. And once again, the shocking lack of revenue that follows big tax cuts blows up the North Carolina budget. The state got huge deficits. Totally unexpected. We had no idea that cutting taxes would reduce tax revenue. That budget emergency, which apparently the Republicans didn't see coming at all, has the North Carolina legislature going back this week for a special short legislative session to figure out what to do with their, surprise, huge budget deficit that they did to themselves. So far, unlike Kansas and New Jersey, there's no word as to whether North Carolina's bond rating is also in trouble. You may want to keep an eye on that. But also keep an eye on whether or not North Carolina's Republican governor, Pat McCrory, plans to accept any blame for what has happened to his state under his policies. In Kansas and New Jersey, the governors there decided to explain the fiscal bombs that they set off in their own states as being President Obama's fault. As if President Obama was the one stalking the halls of the legislature in Topeka and Trenton, telling them to cut the corporate tax rate. But new figures out today from the budget that President Obama actually does have something to do with show that his government, the federal government, ran a $107 billion surplus last month. This is the second time in 5 months that the federal government has been in surplus. The new projections on the overall federal budget for a federal government that has not cut taxes, but in fact raised taxes on the richest people in the country, is that the federal budget deficit is plummeting. Republican governors who thought that cutting taxes would have this kind of result on their own deficits, but instead they experienced the opposite, they can try to blame President Obama all they want for their own problems, but chart imitates life. This is what has actually happened under President Obama, the deficit dropping faster than at any time since the end of World War II. Chart imitates life. Now it's time for the last word. Have a great night.